Hello and shalom, everyone. This is David Parsons, one of the vice presidents and senior spokesman here at the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem, coming to you from our global headquarters in the Talpiot neighborhood of Jerusalem. We're just so glad everyone has joined us for this week's ICEJ weekly webinar. Welcome and shalom again, east, west, north, and south, everyone who has tuned in this week. This week we're covering a current affairs topic, and we have a very special guest. I'm so glad he's joined us, Hanania Naftali. He's a young Israeli social media influencer, pro-Israel, making Israel's case, and we're talking about the cyber battle for Israel. That's the title I gave it, and one of our translators was worried, if it's cyber warfare and all are the technical terms that I won't know, but no, this is good old, in the trenches, fighting for Israel in the social media spaces, just using everyday words like love and defend and God and pray and everything like that. Nothing too hard. But Hanania, great to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes.
Now, we've got a little some bio notes that I want to give first. That Hanania Naftali is this bio says you're a social media star. I would have to vouch for that, and pro-Israel influencer, activist, which you're using social media platforms to raise awareness about anti-Semitism, the BDS movement, boycott, divest, and sanction Israel, the Iranian threat, and other threats that the Jewish people and Israel confront on a daily basis. And I think some people may not know it, but you've been retained for several years now by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as a consultant and advisor, and every day helping him also maintain his pages, his message, but also giving you some leeway and maybe inside information for you to help fight your battle. That's quite a position to have, because he's a great communicator, and I think he saw something in you in that. That's tremendous.
Praise God. I'm just happy to be able to be in the right position in the right time and do everything that I can for the sake of Israel. And again, all the glory goes to God.
Amen. Look, before we really get into your background and how you got into this, I'm going to ask our team to play one of your recent, I guess it's a YouTube video that gives a sample of the work you're doing. If you haven't seen Hanania Naftali in action, cue, please.
We are right here. You know what? Actually, we don't need this map. This is the Gaza Strip right there behind me, and a few kilometers or miles that way is Egypt. Not too long ago, 1,000 rockets were launched from the Gaza Strip into Israel. That was not so nice of them, but the reality for people over there on the other side of the border is terrible. Don't get me wrong. The Gaza Strip has long been plagued by the presence of terror organizations whose ultimate goal is the destruction of Israel, even at the cost of innocent Palestinian civilians. But sometimes, only sometimes, the media forgets to mention that we Israelis also endure the consequences of these terror organizations, Hamas and Islamic Jihad. Well, to be honest, it's not sometimes, it's a pattern. They say that Gaza is under Israeli siege, and therefore terror tunnels are acceptable because they use them to smuggle food, among other stuff. They say there is a blockade imposed on Gaza from air, land, and sea. They say Gaza is the largest open prison on planet Earth. Now, to someone that has never been here, that sounds bad, because it sounds like Israel is the oppressor because we are stronger. We are no longer the underdog, right? They say that it's not fair because Israel has F-16s and Iron Domes, and what do they have? It almost sounds like they expect us to share with our enemies some of our military equipment so that we are equal and only then fight. But the answer, it lies a few clicks from here in Egypt. Egypt also shares a border with Gaza. If Israel is the problem in this conflict, then why does Egypt build a high security wall on its border with Gaza? If Israel is the oppressor in Gaza, then why Egypt is also closing its border crossing with Gaza? Maybe because Israel is not the problem here, but the terror groups over there, Hamas and Islamic Jihad, inside of the Gaza Strip. Both Israel and Egypt chose to build security walls to protect its own people from Gaza's radicals. And you know to whom everything I just said is not news? The very Palestinians who live right there in the Gaza Strip. They know it all. The mainstream media says Israel is responsible for poverty in Gaza, while Israel is actually providing Gaza with water and electricity, and every day tons of trucks enter Gaza from Israel with food, medicine, fuel, and whatnot. And let me tell you a secret, Israel is a blessing to the people in Gaza. Every day, around 20,000 Palestinian workers cross the border from Gaza to Israel in order to work here. Now, if we were so bad, wouldn't they avoid coming and working for Israelis here? But please understand this. We Israelis don't hate the Palestinians. We have no business in hating them. I care for them as an Israeli. I cared for them when I served here in the Israeli army as well. Why? Because I knew that they are not my enemy. In fact, we have a mutual enemy, and it's the terrorist organizations that have taken over Gaza. When I was a soldier in the Israeli army, stationed here on the border with Gaza, you think I enjoyed being here? You think I gladly expected for conflict to occur? Heck no. But we live in a different reality here in Israel, where we have to join the Israeli army once we finish high school, because we have some crazy neighbors that seek our destruction every day. Quite different than your reality, I assume. So next time people tell you about some Israeli siege on the Gaza Strip, point them to Egypt's border with Gaza. And don't forget to share this video with as many people as possible, because we live in a world filled with lies and deception about my country, about our Israel. Thank you.
All right, that is sharp and informative and fast-paced and hip, and really what you need for this social media, this cyber battle for Israel. Hanania, how did you get into this business? Your family came as part of the big wave of Soviet Aliyah in the early 90s. You grew up here, went into the army, and then you had other career plans. What happened?
So yeah, first of all, my parents, they made Aliyah to Israel from the former Soviet Union. They it's a whole different story, very interesting story, but I grew up in Samaria, in northern Samaria, right in the heartland of Israel. So I grew up basically among Arab people. We would go shopping, grocery shopping in Arab towns. And so I really lived this coexistence life. And I remember when I joined the Israeli army, first of all, in my personality, I used to be this shy kid, you know, from the heartland of Israel. I ran from attention like from fire. That was not something that I was interested in. But, you know, the army, serving in the army was a pivotal moment for me in my life, because first of all, it's very different. In Israel, it's not a request. They're not asking you if you want to join the army once you finish high school. That's compulsory. You have to join. So usually most Israelis are excited about that. I wanted to join the Special Commando, the Israeli version of Navy SEALs. So we have this special day where you train, you get ready for that. And that day comes, you know, you exercise, you eat less pizza, less those fattening meals. And I did not accept, I was not accepted into the Navy SEALs. So I said, you know what, I'll go and follow my brother's heritage. Both of my brothers served in the Armored Corps. I'll just go to the Armored Corps. And I told myself, you know what, if there's a war, I'd rather do it on wheels and not by foot. So then the Gaza war of 2014 begins, and I was 19, just celebrated my birthday, and I have to try to bring the audience into my shoes, because you have this border security fence that you cross in this time of war. And just like for every soldier, I had this thought in my mind. I thought maybe I will not come back alive. Maybe I will come back, dead. And it's a very depressing thought, but in a weird way, it keeps you sharp because you don't want to die. And to make a long story short, I remember that I had this peace in my heart. I could not explain this. In the tank is very small. You can bring this many things, and I chose to bring a small Bible with me. And I remember that when I would just open my Bible inside the Gaza Strip, obviously I didn't have time to read a chapter or to do a Bible study, a proper one, like our friends do in America. But I remember I would open my Bible, just read one verse from Psalms, and I was so encouraged. It felt like my spirit was charged. I felt safe. I felt like God is with me. And on top of that, I felt like God has a plan for me, that there is no reason for anything to happen to me because God's angels are with me. And we fought. We came back to Israel. For if you basically, the way it was, you spend 1 week in Gaza, then you refuel, you shower if you have time to, you eat some normal food, not from canned food, and you go back to battle. At that time, I would call my parents, who are also believers, and I remember I would call my mom and try to make sure that she's calm, that her son is everything is in order. And she told me, you know what, I'm not worried. I'm not upset. I know that God's angels are with you. There is no reason for me to be worried. Now, that obviously I was very relieved. And next thing I do, I opened the news. I wanted to see how Israel is being portrayed on the international arena. And I see crazy protests, insane, burning the flag of Israel, calling the soldiers of Israel, us, war criminals, saying that we shoot Palestinians, that we target Arabs. And you know what? In my earthly body and soul, I was angry. I said, you know what? This is absolutely not acceptable, because I was just there inside the Gaza Strip. I knew exactly what we were doing. Before we entered the Gaza Strip, we rounded up in this circle. Our commander told us, you have a very strict mission to target the terror tunnels and the Hamas terrorist organization. No civilian casualties. You are not to target Palestinian people. They are not who we're fighting up against. And I knew that. So I decided that I'm gonna learn English. Obviously, it's not my first language. In Israel, we speak Hebrew and Arabic. So said, you know what, I'm gonna learn English. I'm gonna learn how to edit videos. I'm gonna learn how to deliver a message in a simple way that people can just relate to that, and not necessarily in an academic way. Because at the end of the day, I'm just an Israeli who has a story to tell. I'm not more special than our friends in the United States or anywhere else. I just want people to have some knowledge about what's going on here in this country. So that's what I basically decided to do. My first video was as simple as, recording the camera that I got from my parents for my 18th birthday, saying, hello, my name is Hanania Naftali. I was just now in the Gaza Strip. I was born and raised in Israel. I'm an Israeli. I was a soldier. This is what I felt. This is what happened. And it went viral. This first video, a lot of people were sharing it because it was not very popular.
Packaged, yeah.
Yes, because I felt like at that time less Israelis were talking, and also nowadays most Israelis don't feel comfortable talking in a language that's foreign to them. And by God's grace, I was able to do that. So I started to make another video and another video. And today I have around 2 million followers across my social media platforms. I try to make a video every week so that people will get an understanding, because to me it's and again, as an Israeli, to me it's just crazy to think that there are Christians out there more than 7,000 miles away from this country where I'm based, and they pray for Israel. They in their church services, when I do speaking tours, I just returned from Nashville, Tennessee, and you see people on their knees praying for Israel, and it really touched my heart to see that they're praying without actually seeing what's going on in this country with their own eyes. So that's the least I can do. And you know, if we fast forward a little bit to the era of Prime Minister Netanyahu, I finished my military service, and I was 22, and we have this term in Hebrew, we call it chutzpah. Chutzpah, basically, in you know, to the average American, chutzpah means that you see a closed door, and you either come to the room through the window, or you just smash the door and you break in and you're like, I'm so sorry, could I get that, please? So I had that chutzpah. It's very Israeli. I had a couple hundreds of thousands of followers, and I wanted to do an interview with the Prime Minister of Israel, at that time, Benjamin Netanyahu. And I got a contact of his spokesperson. I messaged him on Facebook that, hey, I'm this and that. I wanna interview the Prime Minister on how to defend Israel in the best possible way. A couple hours pass by, I get a message back. His advisor responds and says, actually, this is quite the coincidence, because we just had a meeting on offering you to do this video, to interview the Prime Minister. And so I was happy, they were happy, and they said, yalla, let's get this done. And in Israel, when you say, let's get this done, obviously it's Israeli time. So a couple months pass by and we get this done. And so, yeah, I interviewed the Prime Minister. They said, we're very sorry, you only have 2 minutes with the Prime Minister. Obviously, I understand that, because the task of leading this country called Israel is one of the toughest jobs in the world. So I'm entering this focused mindset. I said, okay, I have 2 minutes. I'm going to make the most out of it. I enter his office, and it's like, just like in the movies, you enter a room filled with so much history, so many memories and stories that you hear about growing up as an Israeli. And I focus on my mission. I'm setting up the camera, setting up the lights. The Prime Minister is asking, you know, why do you put the cameras there? And I'm not even answering, because I'm focused on setting it up. We make the video. I ask him this very simple question: Prime Minister, how can we defend Israel in the best possible way? I think that our audience here also want to ask this question, you know, from the Prime Minister, if they could. And he told me a very, very simple answer. He said, just tell the truth, because our enemies, they need to distort the facts. They need to find a story and to turn it upside down. We have a full story, and just grab the truth and share it. And he was, you know, referring to the Bible, to Abraham, and to the Jewish connection to this homeland that dates back more than 3,000 years ago. We finished the video. I get home. A month passes by, and I get a call from the team. Then now it's funny, because one of the team members can do it, the perfect impersonation of the Prime Minister, exactly his voice. So he calls me with this voice, and I almost fell for it. It's he did the Prime Minister voice, saying, "Hey, would you join my team?" But they were serious. So I was 22 at that time. When you're 22, you don't say no to an offer from the Prime Minister of Israel. So I joined the team, and that was back in 2018. I still, till this day, work for him, and it is absolutely amazing to be able to to assist the prime minister, because he doesn't really need to be told what to do. He knows exactly what to do. He just needs people to help him to execute that. And it's a true blessing to be able to work for such a leader that, in my opinion, in my faith, he was called for times like this, because I'm sure that a lot of us know that today Israel is facing existential threats coming from Iran, and it's an unending drama, if we simplify everything. So the Palestinians are actually not the main focus of Israel's policy, but I have to say that it's a big privilege to be able to tell the story of Israel, also assisting the prime minister, and also telling my personal story of how my life is like in this country that so many people think that is, filled with conflict and unending wars. And yeah, so that's basically how I started my role with the prime minister.
Yeah, he is such a great communicator, like Ronald Reagan. But to ask you for help, that must be flattering. But I want to understand a little more. You say you were in the Gaza Strip fighting. You see Israel being libeled, you being libeled as a soldier, that you're like Nazi, war criminal, whatever. But had you been very active yourself on social media, Facebook before that, just in a casual way, just a social way?
Before that,
yeah,
I was to those that missed, I used to be very shy. That means not super social. I loved hanging out with my friends, but we lived in the Galilee after we moved from Samaria. For the experts here, it was in the disengagement plan of 2005.
You were from one of the 4 settlements that got uprooted. Wow.
Exactly. So Prime Minister Ariel Sharon decided to withdraw from land with the hopes that we're going to see peace, because that's what the Palestinian leadership has been chanting for decades, that just give us land, we'll give you peace in return for that. And obviously, we are how many years after 2005 do we see peace? Unfortunately not. I think that that's what the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, has been championing on. And he understands that you don't give land in exchange for peace. This land it is a promised land to God's people, to the Jewish people. And although there is room for Palestinians, but this basic thought that you give land in exchange for peace, that's a very corrupted thinking, in my opinion. You give peace in exchange for peace. You don't shake someone's hand and give them a free iPhone so that they will love you. That will be fake, not genuine. So and we have seen that the Israeli administration under Netanyahu had managed to forge 4 peace agreements. And it's actually very, very interesting, because for so many years, the Palestinian leadership has been saying that, has been vetoing peace. Israel offered the Palestinians peace multiple times, and they said time and time again, no, 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 because they don't want peace with Israel. They want peace on top of Israel, instead of Israel. They don't want a state next to Israel. So what Israel did, and that was actually a breakthrough, is that they started to make peace with Arab countries. They said, okay, the Palestinians don't want to make peace. We'll go around it and make peace with nations that actually want peace for the future and for the betterment of their own people. So that's something that's very, very exciting, I have to say.
We just had someone who signed in on the chat. Hello from Dubai. So we got someone.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I visited Dubai earlier, I think last year, and I have to say that while while Jews are advised to hide their identity in Western countries, I purposely wore my kippah on my head when I visited the Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Mosque, if I'm not wrong, that's the correct name, the biggest mosque in the Middle East, one of the biggest in Abu Dhabi. And I put my kippah on my head when I visited with my Arab Muslim friends. And I did not get not a single bad look, obviously not a curse. People actually came to take pictures with this Jewish guy that they saw visiting the mosque. So I think that that's the new Middle East that we are seeing, that the West maybe turns a blind eye to. And it's that Israel is making peace with Arab nations, and it's like the world is turning upside down. If Jews were in the past more safe in Europe and in Western countries, today a lot of Jews are feeling safer in Arab countries. So it's a very interesting time that we live in. That we see on the one hand, more people are open to hear about Israel, and more people are open to extend their hand in peace with Israel. As Prime Minister Netanyahu said, that they are willing to make peace with Saudi Arabia. And on the other hand, we see rise in anti-Semitism. So it's time that, it's the perfect time to have this meeting that we have right now, because I feel as an Israeli Jew that we need our Christian friends more than ever. We see that policies are being pushed against Israel, hatred, blind hate, scapegoating Jews, saying that if there's any problem in America, they immediately tie to the Jews. I think that times like this call for genuine, true friends, like our Christian evangelical friends.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you telling your own story, you have unique credentials to talk about Israel's peace credentials, that you and your family lost your home there in northern Samaria, and a lot of the mainstream media and all, they want to portray Israel as the one who needs to make the next move for peace. It's constantly that way, and Israel has done it many times, given up land for peace, and you gave up your home for peace, and you have a personal loss that you can say, look, we tried it. That must be part of the passion that you bring to this fight, because I want to ask you, what do you think is your secret to how popular your videos are? What do you think it is? I know there's a certain passion behind it. I did a radio show, broadcasts all over North America for many years, from here, and they did some tests on it, and of course they can't see you, but on radio the test came back that I sounded sincere. That was my best quality, wasn't my charm or charisma, I just sounded sincere. But what do you think has been your secret to gain so many followers?
Well, it's a secret. Why would I reveal it here? No, I'm kidding. I have to say that I think it's not people like to think that people who do well on social media are genius, but I think that it's more simple than that. It's you don't have to, first of all, have the latest equipment, the latest phone, the latest camera, the latest computer. You just need to have passion, and you need to be passionate about something. That is something that drives me, because everyone, in our own fields, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you don't feel like doing something. But when you have passion, that passion drives you past these emotions or feelings. So to me, I think that it was just the fact that I have a story to tell. And I think that people do see through the lens that I used to be shy. I used to be, very introverted. And I think that they can see that through the camera lens. So they want to listen even more to what this guy has to say. If he turns on the camera and speaks, because that's stepping out of the comfort zone. And absolutely understanding that, you know, something that really drove me is to understand that, hey, if I don't do that, no one is going to do this job for me. No one is going to stand for Israel if I don't take a stand, because we are few against many. You know, although I may have 2 million followers if you count all of the social media accounts, but then you have anti-Israel social media people like Bella Hadid with 20-something million. So one post with fake news reaches far more people than I can. So I think that that's why we need to be united in what we do. But as for social media, I think my one of my favorite and most viewed videos had I think about 14 million views, and it was as simple as Israel in 60 seconds. I wanted to show people what Israel looks like, you know, on top of the conflict, putting a conflict aside, because Israel has so much to offer, more than you know, political turmoil or any Israeli-Palestinian conflict. To me, and that's the Israel that I grew up in. It's the Israel where the Bible comes to life. You can visit synagogues where Jesus preached. You can see the Western Wall of the Second Temple that existed. So you have this historical evidence that, first of all, number one, shows and proves that Jews are ancestral and indigenous to this land, and number two, that it's Israel is the future. And, you know, the Jews are not going anywhere. I have to mention this this personal story of mine that was not very personal. I went on this live television debate, and they brought, obviously they don't tell me who they're bringing up against me, but they brought this Palestinian politician, and he starts and talks, and he's saying that, look, guys, Israel is the obstacle to peace because Israel continues and advances the settlement project. And, you know, he looked so angry with when he referred to the settlement project. That's a big word, settlement project in the West Bank. So when it was my turn to speak, I simply asked him, do you mean that building homes for Jewish families in Judea and Samaria is an obstacle to peace, but actually inciting hatred, violence, terrorism, sponsored by the Palestinian Authority, the Palestinian government, is not an obstacle to peace? Because that's just insane. People are being paid to stab Jews, to shoot Jews. When they carry out these attacks, they're getting paid for that. This is insane. And this whole, referring back to telling the truth, they're twisting and distorting the whole facts, the whole story. So I was not okay with that. So that's what driving me till this day, to tell the truth, because we're realizing the truth is a rare ingredient in our world, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've been involved in full-time pro-Israel advocacy as a Christian for 20 some years, and sometimes I get asked to give a little advice on how to fight this battle. I have the 4 shows, and it's like show yourself approved. You got to study, get some sources, learn, show love, show compassion, empathy. You can, have a heart for the Palestinians. You just don't blame Israel for everything. But the number one rule is show up. That if you just leave it to others, nothing's going to happen. And I think you are living proof that you came out of Gaza and you decided to start showing up. And you have done so with a passion and a clarity. There's a moral clarity. I know Netanyahu talks about this a lot, and we just have to commend you for this. But you said you were shy. You probably weren't so active on social media. I know I have a Facebook page for 15 years. But I just don't have time. I don't spend much time on there. I have a Twitter account. I don't spend much time on there. And but you had to teach yourself how are these platforms operate. And this became your career. And like, give us some pointers for Christians how they can effectively engage in this PR battle over Israel? Are there differences between how you operate on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, some of the other platforms?
Absolutely. So first of all, I have to tell something to our Christian friends, because and it's something that should be said, because we live in a social media world, and social media can be very bad, can be toxic, can be a horrible thing, because it's this place where people come from all the corners of the earth, and they debate, argue, hate on each other, love on each other. It's this city center of the world. And I personally know Christians that just negate the use of social media because they think it's so bad. But I believe in coming with this sword and slashing through the lies and bringing light to social media with truth, because there is room for that. And I think that we should not just cancel social media and just negate because we've seen something bad on it. I think that we should use social media, because that's where decisions are being made, unfortunately. Politicians go on social media and they care so much about what people say about them. It is thanks to Christians in the United States that, with the pressure of Christians, the U.S. Embassy moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And I'm sure that social media played a crucial role in this. And it is with the help of definitely the help of Christians that the United States recognized Israel 11 minutes after its declaration of independence. If there's one thing that I've learned, is that you're going to be criticized. If you do A, people are going to hate on you. If you do B, people are going to hate on you. So you might as well just do what you feel like doing, and just do not care about what people say, because people love to have opinions, and it's welcome and it's good. But as for myself, I don't want to live an empty life without a purpose. I want to live life to the fullest by doing everything I can to make this world a world of truth, and to bring about more peace, because I never imagined that this shy young kid growing up in Israel will one day speak English, and will not have too much of a broken English, and will be able to share stories from Israel, to encourage people. I have to tell you that I made this one video on social media with an Arab Muslim Israeli, and we stood in my room, one next to each other, and I asked him questions. I said, how does it feel to be Muslim in Israel? How, these simple questions that maybe people don't want to ask. Do you get hate? Blah, blah, blah. He answers, I post the video, and again, I don't know who is watching the video, but I get this message a month later, I think, from this Egyptian student. He writes me, I wanted to enter Israel via Jordan and stab Jews. I hate the Jews so much until I saw this video. And again, it was hard for me to believe that as well. But he said, until I saw this video, that you respect an Arab Muslim. You're not treating him like an animal, like I heard, like people told me and taught me. And he's telling me this video triggered my mind to learn more. And I researched and I read. And the bottom line, he said, now you have a friend. And it's just one example of how powerful social media is if we use it. Just like you said, we need to be proactive. How about stopping being the silent majority?
Yeah, well, that's a wonderful story. I know there's so many lies told about Israel that for someone like you, it's a target-rich environment, as they say in the military. There's so many of these lies you could go after. You almost have your selection, but how do you decide? Is it the ones that really get your gall, that you get upset about? For instance, did you do anything when Mahmoud Abbas, president of the Palestinian Authority, who denies the Holocaust, but then said Israel has put the Palestinians through 50 Holocausts? Did you do anything on that?
Well, I have to say that it's very easy to be driven by hate or anger, but
Yeah.
I really am driven by love for my country rather than hate for the Palestinians, because in my conviction, love is such a powerful weapon that can
Amen.
actually bring peace, because hate brings more hate, love brings more love and more peace. So as to these statements that are always said on a daily basis by Palestinian activists, I think that if you notice, if you actually zoom out for a second, you see that there is a pattern. There is a pattern for Palestinian activism that they take other people's suffering and conflicts, like the suffering of Jews from the Holocaust, like the suffering of Black people in South Africa, saying that, the apartheid, like the war in Ukraine right now. They love to take other people's sufferings and just wear these sufferings themselves and wear these masks, that what happened in South Africa is what we are going through. What's happening in other parts of the world is what we are going through. I think that this is you cannot treat it in any other way. This is disgusting, because they're negating the suffering of actually people that suffered through the apartheid in South Africa. In Israel, we don't have different bathrooms for Arabs and Jews. We don't have class A, class B citizens. If you're an Israeli citizen, you have one passport, one ID. If you're a Palestinian, you have your own government that governs, actually thanks to Israel under the Oslo Accords. Now, that's a lot of information, but I have to say that if you zoom out for a second, you see that those that hate Israel, they are usually not motivated by love for the Palestinians, but rather hate for Israel. And when we stand up for Israel, it's not motivated out of hate for Palestinians, but rather love for Israel. And I think that if we continue down this road, victory awaits us, because love is the most powerful tool. It says, it's written in the Bible, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Those that stand with Israel, free translation, those that stands with Israel and with the Jewish people will be blessed in Genesis. And although it's not biblical to say that, but I do also encourage to pray for Palestinians, to pray for Arabs, because we don't hate them. I never grew up on hating my neighbors. We greet each other, both in Arabic and Hebrew, salam, shalom, peace. And in an even deeper meaning, for the nerds of us here, shalem, shalom, Yerushalayim, it all stems from the word whole, complete. Shalem, whole, shalom, peace, Yerushalayim. That's why I love the Hebrew language. It's such an amazing language, especially if you can read the Bible in Hebrew. It's very deep meanings.
Mm-hmm. I am totally 100% on board with you that hate actually winds up destroying you. It's not constructive at all, and that we should place a premium on love. When I try to advise other Christians how to be good advocates for Israel, I always end up in the love chapter, 1 Corinthians 13, how hatred parades itself and beats its chest. And that's what a lot of Palestinian supporters do. They're out there in the streets shouting and yelling. I've seen it. I hope you're not getting it at some of your appearances, but that love actually rejoices in the truth. It's patient, and when the truth is found out, you say, thank God, we rejoice in it. Whereas the lies of the Jenin massacre and we could go on and on about the different lies that we've seen. I saw something that you just put out. I made sure before we went on the air that I was a follower of you on Twitter, and I saw the headline the other day: Israel set a new record this year in arms sales to foreign countries, 12-point-some billion dollars, which is good news for the arms industry here. Hopefully, it's all used to maintain peace. But you noted, and I didn't read the articles, but what you brought out, the real headline is that 25% of these arms sales go to
Arab countries.
Amazing. That should have been the headline. how can, Israel trusts these countries enough that they won't use them against Israel. They trust this peace, and these countries need it. But what does this say about, say, the momentum of the Abraham Accords, and how much that has changed? The fact that Arabs are looking at Israelis as normal people and not war criminals. This must have really changed the dynamic a lot.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of people are worried when they read such a headline, and they grab their heads and say, "What are you doing? How can you trust these people?" But at down here in the Middle East, about 7,000 miles from our friends in the United States, the reality looks different on the ground. You see that Arabs understand that Israel is not their enemy, but rather a blessing to them. So they understand that there have been decades of incitement against the Jewish state with the help of the Palestinian Authority that has been vetoing peace and spreading lies. Such, one example is that Israel wants to take down the Al-Aqsa Mosque on Temple Mount. And these Arab countries, they understand that if they want, oil is not going to last forever. And if they want their economies to flourish and to grow stronger, they understand that there is this cyber superpower, there is this startup hub called Israel, and they want to partner with Israel. And if you look at the military situation, you see that most of the Arab countries, they don't turn their guns at Israel, but rather towards the Islamic Republic of Iran, and not in order to attack, but in order to, they're afraid, they don't know what's going to happen. There's this tyrannical regime in Tehran that they want to expand their Shia radical Islamist ideology. They want to export this. And the best way for tyrants to survive is when they found someone to scapegoat. And Israel is the best blood libel for the Iranian regime. They had made Israel their target one main enemy, and the Arab nations, they understand that they're not going to stop with Israel. They understand that their future is also in danger if they don't do something. So I think that this is why we see this mind-blowing number that Israel records at $12.5 billion in defense exports, and 25% of that goes to Arab neighbors. It means that we team up together against radicalism. And the message here, the bottom line, is that Arabs understand that Israel is not their enemy, but rather a partner for security, economy, and peace.
I found this out from General Amir Avivi of the Israel Defense Security Forum. There's a lot of talk right now about Morocco. I think some of these arms, Israeli arms, are going to Morocco. And I just saw a piece, Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, they're saying, it was Yehiel Leiter, saying Israel should recognize Morocco's claim over the Western Sahara, which has been fought over. It's like occupied territory, but Morocco claims. But the problem is that Hezbollah is now in that region because it's near the Straits of Gibraltar, and it's another major waterway that they want to have a threat in that region if they need to use it. And Israel, I guess they're selling arms to Morocco to help them with that and forming a partnership. And in a way, it's very positive for Israel that they'll be treating as a normal nation and as a partner.
Absolutely, I agree. I think that we see that the war in radicalism is not just the war of Israel. It's the war also of normal countries like Morocco, like Jordan, Egypt, even Iraq is right now battling against Iranian militias. So you see that, and actually Hezbollah, for those of us that don't know, is a proxy of Iran. So Hezbollah was just recently reported that they have, I think, around over 100,000 rockets. So if aimed at Israel. So they're based in the north. They're trying to surround Israel, And if we open the Bible, we read prophecies, we read that they say war will come from the north. So I think that this story is developing, of course, but Israel needs to guard its people, to safeguard our future. And when Morocco is battling with radicals, we partner with them to finish this. Same with Egypt on the war against ISIS, because we don't want these radicals to end up at our borders. And I think that this is something that our Western friends need to understand as well, that the war of Israel should be their war as well. And if they turn a blind eye and try to be global in terms of peace and love, they will end up facing these problems that Israel is preventing right now, because Israel has successfully managed to, with its intelligence, to foil attacks in European countries. I'm sure that Israel is working together with the United States on that as well. And it's very interesting. Again, if you zoom out, Israel is small. Israel is small, and it's with God's grace, and it's a miracle that Israel is leading the way in so many fields. So if any of us are having doubts, if God still stands with Israel, if God maybe had changed, you see the greatest evidence in your life that Israel shines because it is God. It's only because of God that we won 8 wars that we never started. It's because of God that Israel is a light to the world, to the nations today.
Amen. It's the Lord's hand that has brought the Jewish people back and allowed them to defend themselves, and that's made a big difference. But you always have to give credit to God for Him changing everything surrounding the Jewish people. And do you, you're never going to vanquish, unfortunately, get rid of all the rabid anti-Semites out there, but do you think Israel's having some success, some progress in fighting this PR battle in cyberspace over its right to defend itself and such?
I think that, again, because we are few against many, a lot of people think that it's a lost cause. But look at David against Goliath. He managed to win this battle. And Israelis are generally not happy with the way they are being represented by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for example, because they're saying you're not doing what we want you to do. But obviously, Ministry of Foreign Affairs is a biased organization, a government organization. So it's hard to convince people using government organizations. I think that the best possible way is to create ambassadors for Israel, just like ICJ has been excelling in, to create friends that just tell the story of Israel from their personal perspective, just like I have been doing. No one stands behind me. I just share. I can say whatever I want, and that's the best way to convince people. Because just like you said, the statistics that came from your radio, that you were sincere, that people believed what you said. I think that it's like gold today. In a world where people pursue after fame, likes, and shares, authenticity and sincerity is something that people are looking for. And when you combine it with Israel, it's inevitable that you will make friends for Israel.
Yeah. Now, we got a lot of people asking, how do they find your social media platforms? I think if you go to YouTube and you just type in Hananya Naftali, it's going to take you straight to his page. You just got to spell it right. Hananya, Naftali is with an F, N-A-F-T-L-A-I, Hananya Naftali. I think you do the same thing on Twitter, the same thing on Instagram. You'll find him right there, and all over social media. You do a search just in Google, and you're going to find a lot of this. But anything else to add on how they can find you and what do you have cooking in the oven rail, in the hopper? What can we expect coming out from you soon?
So first of all, thank you very much for the shout out. You can just find me on basically any platform if you write H Naftali, because again, I believe in being everywhere to share the message about Israel. And we live in, I don't want to sound philosophical, but a lot of people are making videos. A lot of people are making a whole bunch of videos about different kinds of topics. And I felt for a while that I want to, the land of innovation, to innovate, to be more interesting, not just open the camera and talk. That's very important, but that leads me to what I'm cooking, because those of you that know me, I also like to ride the motorcycle. Now I know riding anything in Israel with the crazy drivers, that can be a hazard. But I'm Israeli too, so crazy ride with crazy drivers. That's it's working. But
you have to take a ride with my son. He's on his bike every day, and I'm so worried. It's improved my prayer life.
Well, David, the key here is to be more crazy than the drivers. Yeah. I'm kidding, of course. Yeah. But I started to do this series that I'm slowly filming, and it's basically to take my motorcycle. I did it in the Sea of Galilee. I take my motorcycle down to the Sea of Galilee where I spent my childhood, and just filming with my drone, with my motorcycle, making coffee like I did in the army, showing people what it feels like to travel in this land. So next thing, I want to go to the Ramon crater to the south. I think that's going to be amazing. And it's interesting, innovative. Even people that maybe don't care about Israel, they will care about the motorcycle and the sounds. So I'm thrilled to make more of that, of more content, more interesting content that will encourage people to learn more. I'm not trying to shove the love of Israel in people's throats, but to trigger them to research themselves. Because when someone knows for themselves and from their own knowledge the truth about Israel, you cannot convince them otherwise. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that sounds super cool with a K. And I think my son Yoni would probably want to ride along with you as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's an idea for a video.
Yeah, he just went to they just had a wedding down there at the Ramon crater, one of the young believers getting married, and he rode all the way to Eilat and then came back for the wedding, riding on his bike around this country. And it is an interesting country. You can go from skiing on Mount Hermon to surfing on the coast of Israel. I grew up surfing on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. It's a very lovely, fascinating country, hiking in the desert, archaeological digs, the land of the Bible. There's so much here, and it all gets drowned out by this conflict, which many Arabs want to end now. And many people are blaming on those certain Arabs who don't want to give up the fight and the hatred. And thanks to you and others, I believe we're making good progress in this battle. And
I agree. And I do want to add, if I may, that first of all, we live in a pivotal time where our enemies are trying to surround Israel and to grow stronger. We just saw Iran releasing their Fatah, I think it's called, the hypersonic missile that can reach Tel Aviv in 400 seconds. But we also see that the love for Israel among our friends is growing, and we need you guys more than ever, because our enemies are surrounding Israel with anti-Semitism, and we need you guys more than ever. And you can start even today. You don't need to be an expert in anything. Just have love for Israel. That's enough.
Yeah. I know that we're really in an interesting moment. Good things could happen or bad things ahead, and it's got to keep us all on our toes, but thank God, people like you, and especially you and what you're doing, you're out there, you're active, you're showing up, you're speaking truth with the right motivations. And we really appreciate you. I want to encourage everyone to be praying for Hanania Naftali, and not only following his stuff, but please be praying for him. He's in a very strategic position as a consultant to the Prime Minister of Israel on the social media battle. And really, it's a really important position you're in. And we just thank you for your time today. I know we could keep going on, but we'll keep it to about an hour here. And that means we got to bring you back some other time when something heats up and we need your help.
I would absolutely love that. And again, I have to say thank you to you guys, to ICEJ, and to just the Christian friends of Israel, because we don't take your love for granted. It means the world to us. So, and blessings come to those that do exactly what you guys are doing.
Mm-hmm. And greetings to your new wife, India. All safe travels. I see are you going to Italy soon?
We just came back 2 days ago.
Came back from there. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
You took
Eating
her
some
along.
pizza, some good pasta. So
Okay.
yeah, we were well fed.
Yeah. Okay. All the best. Kol hakavod, Hanania Naftali, social media activist and star, and a consultant to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We thank you again for joining us on today's ICEJ weekly webinar. We'll be back here next Thursday, 4 p.m. Israel time. I think our topic is going to be on global energy issues by our friend Nir Bombs. He's with several different think tanks and all, but he has some interesting things to say about Israel's place in the energy market, some of the crisis and all, and things that are happening. You want to join us then next Thursday, 4 p.m. Israel time, for the weekly webinar, and also Wednesday, 4 p.m. same time, our global prayer gathering next Wednesday. Join Christian leaders and other intercessors from around the world praying for Israel, the region, and your nation. And of course, I got to mention the Feast of Tabernacles coming up late September, the 29th of September through 6th of October here in Israel. We'll be in the Galilee, Jerusalem, down in the Western Negev. We hope to have Hanania Naftali there in some capacity.
I would love to.
Please make sure you attend the feast in person or online. You can go to feast.icej.org to find out more. God bless you from Jerusalem.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next Thursday at 4 p.m. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on our social media pages for more exclusive ICEJ content.